If you noticed earlier that the live stream was going through, but there was no picture. So I have to apologize for that. I also was on Google Plus Hangout. Sometimes the sync doesn't happen, and I have to go back and fix that sync because the syncing, I'm saying syncing a lot, aren't I? But I have to explain this real quick because I have to start over again. I have to start over again. And I believe it's because I have the Google Plus Hangout and the YouTube. They're synced, but it's not synced with the live stream, if that makes sense. I have the live stream, but the picture doesn't show up. So if someone knows how to do that, let me know, and I will get that corrected. So now I'm going to go back, start my discussion all over again, because apparently when you go to Google Plus, you only join the video call. But here, you get the Google Plus Hangout with the YouTube. That's why it's synced. That makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so if you were here last week, we talked about social media success and what we do with it, basically. Well, that's just a continuation of that as we get into the mental health chat, basically. I was just pondering all day, or for the past few days, basically, the question of the week for you. I couldn't come up with a stinking thing. Did I? Yeah, I said that, didn't I? Yeah. And that's just how it went. That question, that burning question I kept thinking of, that I wanted to ask you, because that was going to be your question of the week. So I don't have one. I have a question mark hanging over my head this evening. So if you took the poll last week, from episode 2, I appreciate it. If you didn't get a chance to take the poll on the Facebook events page, I will direct you back to that link, and you feel free to answer the poll. I will take you back to that events page, and feel free to take the poll. It's really important too, because I want to know what your thoughts are on what success is in social media, because I think these days there's so much of it. There's so much social media these days. I think people get greedy and think, oh, I'm going to become a viral success overnight. Some people do, and it still boggles my mind how people become a viral success overnight. And some of them just do it for kicks. And I said that last week. And it does. I see it more and more nowadays than I ever did before any of this even started, happening. When we had MySpace, people were just putting up the things that they were doing in their life because they were working towards a goal. I'm working towards my goal, and this is what I'm doing, is being that person on the other side to connect with and communicate with. And I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come in for these. And I really do. I greatly appreciate it. I mean, that's just how I feel about that. And whether or not I get 5 views or 10 views, but sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So, I just am very appreciative about it. And hopefully it comes across in a way that I can, be there for someone and talk to them this way rather than typing something out, as we used to do when message boards were very, very much in, social media, before all the YouTube came in with live streaming and all this other more high technology that we have these days. And mental health has a lot to do with that too. I see a lot of people get into Facebook and just start rambling off on so many topics. And I'm thinking, okay, calm down a little bit, or just leave the subject alone, or go into a private group chat, which they do have on Facebook. And I encourage that. Be in your comfort zone when you're talking. I know some people like to keep people up to date, like I do, with a lot of my writing and my books, and you know things in country music. Those are just some of the things that I do. And but though that's the way I update people, are through those pages and websites, and that's how I do it in social media. But when it comes to mental health and social media, though, I think people really get carried away sometimes. And we hear a lot of stories of someone being assaulted and bullied online because someone said something that shouldn't have been said, and in a very publicly open place. Have some responsibility when it comes to that, because people see that and they're going to either delete their Facebook page and not return, and or someone's going to say something that's going to offend somebody. Have some responsibility and some social awareness when it comes to issues and topics such as mental health. And I've become more active with this since I released my book on mental health. I've become more active with it, and I feel like it's just a necessity for me to be open and be more personal this way, and really communicate and connect with you on that level. So social media, be a little more aware of what you're saying and talking about, and have some responsibility when it comes to topics like that, such as mental health, or um, whatever topic or subject it may be, Christianity, religious views, uh, finances. Those are things that we want to be a little more discreet about, and really be, you know, proactive at the same time, but in a way that's more well aware, and with some responsibility. So let's talk about this. Let's talk. Let's start the conversation. We owe it to ourselves to be able to speak out and talk about mental health, because I hear it more and more these days, how someone has been able to open up and talk about their issue um, straightforwardly. And I have done that. And it was very frightening for me at first to talk about my issues with anxiety and my learning disability, because I don't want to be I don't want others to sympathize for me, or have that poor you approach with me. I I don't like that, but I want people to know that it's okay. You too can, you know, talk about it, and there's ways that you can talk about it and feel comfortable enough to talk about it. So I do have a question for you, and feel free to answer me at any time, at any point during the season. But can we prosper with expectations from others in social media networking, or do we prosper? Um, I have a feeling that we can prosper without expectations, because if we do have the expectations, we don't we act differently when we're expected to do something. Like, for example, like tonight with my unsynchronized live stream, basically. So, and this video will be put up on all pages this evening, as well as other things that are going on. throughout the week. But let's talk about this. Let's be a little open with one another on this level, if you can be open enough. And if you're not open and don't feel comfortable, there are places on Facebook that you can do. There are closed private groups that you can join and talk about that with someone on that level. Uh, Sometimes blogging helps. I recently wrote my first blog on mental health, and I wasn't sure how it would come out. And I had a couple of wonderful uh, thoughts on those, and it was very humbling, and I really appreciated that. So I or plan to write more blogs on mental health and raise awareness on that format, as well as in my poetry, because that's how I communicate, not just with words, but with speaking to someone in person, maybe, or communicating and connecting with you through YouTube or a live stream. It could be in any format. It doesn't have to be this format. Um, but at the same time, we don't want to lose ourselves either in the process. I see a lot of people who get so overwhelmed, and I was getting overwhelmed with it a little bit already this evening, and I was like, oh no, what's going on here? So I had to go back and calm myself down a little bit. And I also took some time out today, among my busyness, to really just enjoy what God has given me. And just remember that no matter who you are, we're all going to have these moments of feeling this way. It's just a given. We're not perfect human beings. None of us are. And I think a lot of that also plays a lot into our mental well-being as well. So we want to be good on ourselves physically as well as mentally. And this this is just an avenue that I had taken with you, and I'm very blessed to be able to do this and talk to you in this format, and really have that connection with you. And some things I want to remind folks is that um, not to be so hard on yourself, and just take every day as it is and enjoy what life gives you. We're going to have our hard days, we're going to have our tough days, we're going to have our good days. And it comes down to that. We're going to have those highs and we're going to have those lows. It's just the way it is. And but we want to be aware of what's going on around us and be a little more self-conscious when it comes to talking in social media networking, whether it is on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter or Instagram, Google Plus, any kind of website, blogging site, WordPress. There's so many places where we can, blog these days. I encourage people to blog. I love doing that because it helps not just me, but it might help someone else who might be reading that and say, "Oh, she really gets me at this," and really understands what we're going through. And it's very eye-opening too at the same time. So we just want to be a little more self-aware of what's going on. And I'm not going to practice what I preach either, because, like I said, I'm not perfect, and I always test to it. I'm not, but I can be very blunt and kind of spot on sometimes, but not always. I try. It happens, but the one big thing is don't take your private life online. There's a time and a place for everything. And when our mental health comes into play, like I said, we want to be more responsible and self-aware of what we're talking about and who we're talking to at the same time. I hear so many stories in the news these days someone's taking a life because of mental health issues that they're dealt with for so many years. It's it makes me more proactive in this field because so many people don't know which avenue to take. They get overwhelmed. They don't know who to turn to or where to go. But there are so many ways to help yourself and help somebody else at the same time. And just just know that no matter who you are, you're going to get through it. And I've gotten through a lot of that myself, and I was reflecting on that recently, how far I've come in my own life with anxiety and having that that disorder. And I hate using that word. It's one of the words I don't like to use. But it's just something that, you know, is what it is with me. And I am my own kind of normal. And remember that you are normal too. You know, even if you do have an anxiety disorder or depression or PTSD, um, it- you're normal. You're okay. We're all going to be fine. We just have to know who we can turn to in times and really just embrace the moments that we can and try not to feel so closed in. And it's just something that I feel we we together can be more proactive and talk about it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about the topic. Mental health is scary. It can be good. It can be so many things. And we just want to be who we are as human beings and stop feeling the expectations from others around us because other people don't know. You know, we have to let go of expectations. It's hard to let go of expectations. I know that myself. I've always had to live up to someone else's expectations to do stuff, and that's just not me. I don't have to do that anymore. I do what I feel like I need to do, and I do it. And I just don't. And, you know, it's hard. I know it's so hard. You're like, oh, this is so hard to go through, and this is so difficult. But if you really put your trust and your faith in God, He'll get you through it, and He will lead you where He wants you to be. And it's a very beautiful thing to do. So I don't know what more I could say to you this evening, but just be more self-aware of your time on social media, and don't feel overwhelmed with it, and be who you are as a human being and not what others want you to be, basically. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. And the live stream will be removed and will be put back where it's supposed to be on the 15th. Stay tuned because there's so much more that I want to share with you and talk to you on mental health. And I will direct you to all the links. I hope you get to take the poll from last week. The Goodreads discussion will start before the end of the week. So find me on Goodreads, just under my name, Shellie Palmer. And I hope to see you all on the 15th for a brand new episode. Have a wonderful evening.